Good morning, everyone. My name is Graham. I'm the land steward at Goose Pond Sanctuary. Sorry I'm a little late today. I had some problems with the internet on my phone. I'm using a different phone now. So this morning I'm at some scrapes that we made 2 summers ago. And so these scrapes are designed to benefit wildlife, particularly birds and amphibians. But what is a scrape? There's 3 main things that qualify something as a scrape, or make it a good one at least. Number 1 is that it's isolated. Isolated scrapes help breeding pairs of waterfowl find good nesting habitat because they don't like to hang out very much when they're trying to breed and find good nesting sites. Number 2, they should be irregularly shaped. The more irregularly shaped a scrape is, the more wetland edge habitat there is, and that provides a lot more food than just a straight circle, like a very circular pond. And then the last thing is that the slopes of the scrape have to be shallow. This is important because as the water dries up, vegetation will start to germinate right at the shoreline where it's drying. So if you had a really steep ditch, there wouldn't be very much space for the vegetation to germinate. And so if it's shallowly sloped, it does it over a much larger area. So those are the 3 qualifications for a scrape: isolated, irregularly shaped, and have shallow slopes. So like I mentioned, we did this a couple years ago during the summer, during August. So I've got a map of what the scrapes look like. Right in front of me now would be scrape 6. Scrape 6 is right in front of me. And then you can see these buildings and stuff up here is the Camp and Road residence off in the distance. And so 2 years ago, all of the orange polygons are new scrapes. This blue polygon is a scrape that was already there, and this pink polygon was also already there. And then these 2 yellow polygons represent where the soil came out of these ones, out of the orange polygons, right? Because if you're gonna scrape something out, there's gonna be a lot of soil that comes out with it. And so you gotta put that soil somewhere. And so we put the soil in the uplands here. And so that yellow polygon, you can see is behind me right here from me to the truck. And we're in the process right now of planting and restoring that one to some mesic to wet mesic prairie. So these have really high benefits to wildlife. Like I said, keeps duck pairs isolated. That's a good thing. One other thing of note from this year is that we put an additional wood duck box up next to these scrapes, and we had a pair nesting in it. And as far as I know, that is the first recorded pair of nesting wood ducks at Goose Pond. Some other wildlife that really likes it are green-winged teal. When we were doing waterfowl and pair count surveys earlier this year, this was definitely the hot spot for green-winged teal. It just had the right mud flats for them. There's also a lot of shorebirds, green herons, American bitterns. Harriers love to cruise all over the marsh. There's also been yellow-headed blackbirds here this year. And they particularly like thick stands of cattail. And you can see that there's a stand right in front of the camera over there. So they like those isolated thick stands of cattails. But another reason we were doing this is for, oh, there's a harrier over there. He's a little far away. He might come over here. I'll keep an eye on him just in case. Another thing that there's a lot of right now is egrets. But anyway, amphibians. So at Goose Pond we have salamanders, a bunch of different kinds of frogs, leopard frog, spring peeper, chorus, 2 kinds of tree frogs, probably missing a couple. There's killdeers getting freaked out by the harrier right now. You can see him sort of floating around over there. Shorebirds definitely are not in favor of this interaction here. But so this type of wetland, these shallow wetlands, are particularly important for amphibians because fish love amphibian eggs. They love to eat amphibian eggs. And so if you get a place that dries up seasonally, there's not going to be fish in it. And so the following spring, when those pools fill up, they're going to be excellent for breeding amphibians, so their eggs don't get eaten. And so while I'm talking about that, got a couple little fellers in here. These are the salamanders. These are tiger salamanders, eastern tiger salamanders. There's a lot of them at Goose Pond. You don't really see them that much this time of year, but come September, when there's some warm nights and a lot of rain, then the young, yeah, they're really good swimmers. The young from this year will be migrating out of the pond and into the uplands where they overwinter in badger holes and gopher holes and things like that. This is a really cool little critter. So in September on those warm rainy nights, be careful on the roads because that's when they start migrating, and there will be hundreds of them, maybe thousands of them. It's a really cool critter. You can see that the coloration is variable. This one is quite spotty. And this one has fewer spots, but they're larger. Not really sure why that is. Yeah, they're really good swimmers. They like to eat pretty much anything that comes in front of their face. Their eyesight is not very good. They eat worms, small insects. Even the really large ones, I've heard, can eat small mammals, like rodents. Because those salamanders can get up to maybe a foot long. They can get really long. So these are the wetland scrapes here. I encourage you to come visit them and walk around the trails. There's a couple different accesses. You could either stop at the Brown Prairie parking lot and walk to it, or park on Prairie Lane and come to the top of the hill with the oak savanna on it, and it's a great view down onto the scrapes. A couple other things I wanted to mention is that there's been some recent rare bird sightings. This is the best time for shorebird migration. There's been buff-breasted sandpipers seen at Goose Pond and also at Harvey and Wagness Road. Let's see what else has been around. There's been a peregrine falcon at Goose Pond maybe a week ago. Like I said before, the egrets are really starting to come in right now. Keep an eye out for shorebirds. And there's quite a few blue herons around right now as well. And the shorebirds are definitely taking advantage of these mud flats that are also in the scrapes. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to throw those in the comment box. We'll try to get those answered as soon as possible. And also I will post the link to a little bit more in-depth history. There goes a flock of teal. A little more in-depth history on the construction, and you can see the big equipment and exactly how we did it with more maps and a little bit more data and such like that. But it's a great project, definitely proven so far it's worth in being of really high benefit to wetland wildlife. Ducks, amphibians, and definitely dragonflies and other insects like that too. So I think that's all I've got for you today, but I do encourage you to visit this place. There's a lot of good nooks and crannies where some unexpected critters might be found. Thanks for listening.